My research project is on remittance-led development in Mexico and Haiti. So here is a general overview of remittances. Remittances are money sent by migrants from their destination country to their home country. They are dependent on temporary migration and family separation. So there are two kinds of remittances. The first is personal remittances. This is money sent from migrants to their families or an individual for personal use. This is essentially an external source of income for those recipients. The second kind is collective remittances. This is when migrants pool their money together to invest in community projects. This is usually done through hometown associations. Hometown associations are migrant clubs in destination countries that form to maintain connections with their homeland, to coordinate resources, to influence policy, and to fund community and infrastructure projects in their hometowns. Here is a general overview of my research design. I was using dependency theory as the lens in which I analyzed remittance-led development. I used a comparative approach using Mexico and Haiti. I defined development as the establishment of productive capacity, the increase in value of goods produced, and an ability to wean off dependencies. My research question was, under what context can remittance-led development occur within the neoliberal world order? Primarily looking at how individual action, which is remittances, compares with broader global structures. First, looking at Haiti. Haiti has been characterized by instability, corruption, imperialism, and chaos over the last 40 years and beyond. Today, it remains one of the poorest countries in the world. Colonial and global capitalist expansion have depleted the country's resource base, and little to no significant development has occurred in the last 40 years, and certainly not remittance-led development. Total remittances into the country. On the left-hand side, you see remittances as a percent of GDP, and on the right, you see nominal remittances, both of which have increased substantially throughout the years. Aid and remittances. Haiti is often referred to as the Republic of NGOs. The majority of aid money sent to Haiti is spent outside the country. NGOs source products from multinational corporations and foreign corporations. They often accumulate foreign-produced goods that accumulate because of overproduction. This is a great way for those companies to get rid of goods that they wouldn't have been able to sell otherwise and dumping them on foreign markets. Aid generally does little to benefit the local economy. NGOs and aid work together to actually preclude the success of Haitian business. There are large market distortions that occur through subsidized prices or providing goods for free, which provides really substantial competition for Haitian business, which they can't compete with, and actually drives them out of the market. This results in a lack of remittance expenditure in local business, since business is priced out through market distortions. There is also a lack of employment opportunities because of the lack of local business, which creates the need for more remittances and further remittance dependencies. Personal remittances in Haiti. There is a high dependency on personal remittances in the country. Half of remittance receivers rely on them as their main source of income. Education expenditure. This is significant as it speaks to human capital investment in the country, which could potentially lead to the development of infrastructure and productive capacity. However, the Haitian state is unable to provide basic schooling for children, although it is required to under the Constitution. Most families end up paying for private educations, and many do so through remittances. However, Haiti is the top tertiary educated migrant sender in the world. This indicates that there is some brain drain occurring, and it also indicates that human capital investment that is produced because of remittances is negated by migration and the need to send remittances to the country. So then looking at consumption, are there multiplier effects as a result of remittance expenditure? This is unlikely. There's a high poverty rate in Haiti, and most remittances are spent on the satisfaction of basic needs, including food. This, coupled with the fact that about 50% of food products are imported into Haiti, and there is an abundance of subsistence farming that occurs to make up for the foods that are not imported. This indicates that there's leakages out of the economy. Investment is also unlikely because of instability and the lack of success of business within the economy, which deters remittance receivers from investing their incomes. Moving on to Mexico. In 1980, Mexico's economy was largely closed off to foreign trade and investment. However, shortly after marked the neoliberal turn that was based upon privatization and liberalization. Maquiladora manufacturing created little benefit to the economy and increased substantially throughout the decades. This accounted for 50% of all exports. In 1994, NAFTA took effect. This was a tool for securing investor confidence. However, it devastated wheat and grain production, displacing thousands of subsistence and cash crop producers, which resulted in the greater need for migration and remittances due to a lack of income earning opportunities in Mexico. So total remittances. This is a very similar graph to the one showed for Haiti, with remittances as a percent of GDP on the left and nominal remittances on the right. As with Haiti, it has increased substantially over the years. Personal remittances. So this graph is household expenditure as a percent of total budget. As you can see, there is only marginal differences in each category. Remittances generally make up 25 to 50% of household income. There is a rural-urban divide in remittance recipients. More rural households receive than urban ones. This speaks to the inequalities between the two areas. The possibility of financial development, including access to loans, credit, and savings, is one that comes up as a development-inducing opportunity. However, there is no connection between financial development and the establishment of productive capacity. In general, there is no grounds for establishing any real connection with individual remittance expenditure and development. Collective remittances. The Mexican government has applied successive policies aimed at maximizing collective remittances, which are usually invested in public infrastructure, roads, sewage systems, etc. The 3x1 program has been implemented, where 3 levels of government, municipal, state, and federal, match each peso invested by HTAs through the 3x1 program for approved infrastructure projects. It has been institutionalized as the second largest welfare program in the country, improves well-being, but does little for productive investment, and unequal access to it as it is contingent upon migrant initiation of projects. Discussion. Little evidence of remittance-led growth in Mexico and Haiti. Both countries have different dependencies. Mexico, there is supplementary income and a focus on collective remittances through 3x1 and different policies. Haiti, there is substitutionary income and a focus on personal remittances as a survival strategy. Main claims. First of all, remittances are a market mechanism that places the burden of the provision of public services, a role traditionally filled by the government, on individual migrants. In this sense, the government is offloading their responsibilities to provide infrastructure and other public goods that HTAs step in and provide. Remittance-led development debate in general indicates that national development is offloaded onto the individual, which is very fitting into the neoliberal discourse that is dominant today. Number 2, too heavy of a reliance on remittances as a development plan is redundant and inefficient, resulting in cyclical dependencies. Almost allows for the government to neglect their role in fostering well-paying employment for their people. This is a subjective and unclear threshold of what too much dependency is, but it's clear that there needs to be a plan to eventually wean off remittance dependencies and or address other dependencies to ensure remittances stay in the economy and can be used effectively. And number 3, dependencies in Haiti and Mexico through aid, trade, multinational corporations, etc., have created large barriers that inhibit development in general and reinforce remittances as another dependency. Thank you for listening.